Alrighty. We got a handful of people here. Thanks for joining. I think we're going to do these like Friday live streams every so often. If you can hear me, please let me know. Last week we had a disaster of everything falling apart. So please do sign off and chat if it is working. I'm going to check it here on my phone. It looks like we're working. So yeah. How's everyone doing? We got 5 or 6 people in here. Let me see. I should also be able to pull up messages in the chat today. So that'll be kind of nice. Didn't have that last week either, except my mic is very much in the way. So yes, we'll get into the topic here in a little bit once we just sort of guarantee that a few people are here and that everything is working. But I kind of want to just talk a little bit about like the current state of like budget cameras. Because it feels like the market has very much changed. So that's going to be the topic for today. We're going to be talking about budget cameras and the state of how everything is going as far as budget cameras go, and stuff like that, which is kind of where this whole channel started anyway. So yeah, this whole channel was very much focused around like budget gear and affordable stuff that people could actually use, if, you know, especially depending on where you are in the world. So that's what we're going to be doing. Got silent people in here. Where are we at? I need to make sure my chat thing works. So if you are here, say a little message so I can see if my chat actually pops up on screen whenever I want it to. That would be great. I don't have any coffee today. That's the real downside for this morning or this evening. As you can tell, it's a disaster. Miggy's here. So let me see. Okay. In theory, hey, it works. Hallelujah. All right, so cool. I just want to make sure that is indeed working. It's very large. Let me see if I can scale that down a little bit. So that should be better. But yeah, Maggie, how's it going? So we'll talk about that. Yes, I did put the S9 in there. Maggie says the S9 is under 1K. We'll talk about it, and I'll explain why I put that one into the title in just a second. So, and Victor says everything works. That is good. Thank you very much. And yeah, there you are. You're up on the screen. Fantastic, excellent. Things work. I'm getting better at this, I think. Something like that's happening. Yeah, so granted the S9 is not under $1,000, but I've been seeing them go for like $900 used on social media. So I wanted to kind of include that. So I got a few cameras that I'm kind of talking about today. So I've got my little, does this work? Oh, that was weird. Oh, that was such a slow fade. I don't want that. No. Don't fade. Or do I not fade? Oh, that's awful. Don't do... Oh, that's so bad. What is that? Oh. Wait, stop. Okay, I'm new to this switcher, guys. Don't panic. Everything's under control. Oh, here we go. Transition duration. 0 seconds. Dip to color, none. There we go. That's what I want. That's what I want there. Finished work. Yeah, so that's it. I thought it'd be interesting to do... streams around that sort of 5-ish p.m., 6 p.m. I'm on Eastern time, so I might do them later. I'm trying to find a good time for everybody. And I thought Friday afternoon would be a nice little one to hop in on. So yes. Sorry, let me try this again. Okay, so in theory, there we go. Okay, got my top down. So yes, I wanted to talk a bit more about this. Where's my camera? There we go. Talk about the XM5, because it is definitely the killer camera for under $1,000, in my opinion. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit. The S9, also you can find under $1,000, but it's not new. So I'd like to talk about how people feel about buying used, because I think used gear is definitely worth it, but not everybody likes to do so. And then obviously we can also talk about the Sony's offering, which this is like their only camera under $1,000, which is the ZVE10 Mark II. And as a ZVE10 guy, I'm kind of disenchanted with it. So, which is a shame, because it was like the original ZVE10 was the one that like set this whole channel up. And I was really hoping that the new ZVE10 would be just as good. It just doesn't feel like it. So, Meg says, I got mine, the one I sold. Oh, the one you showed me for $980, but I had to fix the menu button, which costs $150. Fair enough. But yeah, that's cool getting the Japanese, like the Japan special one for $980. That's great. Yeah, I think, yes, sorry, Invicto has said that it is really late in Europe. This is true. So I'm from Ireland. I live in the States at the moment, which is why my accent is dropping. So yes, over in Europe it is later. But the thinking is just after work here is late evening over there. So maybe people might still be up to try and chat, which is kind of nice. You're on demon time. Hey, us Europeans aren't demons. I've been watching like Attack on Titan, so I keep thinking like, you know, where they're like called the spawn of the devil over there in a different country. Yeah, so look, I don't know if I would say that Sony's dropping the ball all over. I just know that my thoughts on the ZVE10 Mark II, I've been trying to form them. I am planning on making a video about this, about the ZVE10 Mark II and where and why it disappoints me and why it might disappoint some of you guys as well, depending on if you want to pick it up, because it's all down to expectation, realistically, which is kind of everything. So, but yeah, the S9, super worth it. I think so. I hardly ever use mine, but it's kind of my wife's for our coffee shop. So I'd like to use it a bit more. I just need to get more L-mount glass. I really don't own very much. I need a 20mm or 24. Like a 20, somewhere 20 or 24, 1.4 is what I want. Attack on Titan, yeah, I've seen it twice, watched it through twice. So that was the first anime that I got my wife to watch. So, or no, I didn't get her to watch it. Her friend got her to watch it. And that was kind of like how we bonded. She was in the States and I was over in Ireland, and we did like FaceTime dates watching Attack on Titan together, which is pretty fun. Always sets up for a good marriage, you know, whenever you could just sit and watch anime together. But yeah, just get a second one, of the S9s, 2 S9s and 1 lens. So yeah, I need to just sell stuff, but I don't want to sell stuff because we're hoarders here. You know, we like to hoard some stuff. To you know, why buy new gear for another camera brand when I can get more stuff for Sony, which is kind of mainly what I have. So yeah, you said that Sony dropped the ball. So, but here's the thing. I think the FX30, which I'm filming on right now, is probably the best camera for the money that you can maybe get. Is that a hot take? It might be. I mean, if you can find it used for $1,500, which I've seen them go for $1,500, if you can find it used for $1,500, I think it is probably better than most other cameras at around that $1,500 price point. And I know it's not full frame. People go crazy about full frame, as if it's the only thing that matters. And I kind of disagree with that personally. But the FX30 just does everything. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think the FX30 is probably my favorite camera that I own right now. And it makes it really hard to switch because it's just so convenient. I've not watched One Piece. No, my first was Bleach. So out of the big three, I've done Bleach and Naruto, but I haven't watched One Piece. It's too big. It's too much. I mean, I've watched Bleach like 4 times, but One Piece is just a bit much for me. Joran says, "Hey, does that fit on the screen? It doesn't. Oh no. How do I fix this? Okay, your messages won't fully fit the screen. That's something I got to work on. I was hoping for the A7V and ended up buying an A7 IV during Hunt Photo and Sony's sale. I combined for $1,800 total. I mean, $1,800 for an A7 IV is not bad. Not bad at all. That's a really good deal. It's definitely a good camera. I mean, we talked about this last week with the FX2. The image out of that sensor and that combo is fantastic. So if it ain't broke, you don't necessarily need to fix it. Is kind of my take, but yeah. YouTube apps, the YouTube apps. Where can I buy the Lumix S9 under $1,000? Always $1,340 without a lens. So, I have not set up a screen capture for this, but I probably should. I did exactly what I said not to do. recently, which is to buy on Mercari. I do not recommend buying on Mercari if you're buying used, but there is one guy on Mercari that sells a bunch of used Lumix gear. I shouldn't tell people this because I'm waiting for him to have another S5 2X that I'm going to buy. But he has 2 S9s for under $1,000 right now on there, and I know that he is legit because that's where I got this one. So, and it works perfectly, and I got it for $940 before taxes, so it was just over $1,000 after taxes. I don't recommend buying on Mercari. Please, just like, if you're cautious about buying used gear, do not buy on Mercari because there's just full to the brim of scams. So yes, there's that. I would just be very, very cautious on Mercari. But Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Facebook Marketplace is great if you can go and test the camera. That is the key. Don't buy on Facebook Marketplace if you're getting it shipped, or if you have to send the money through PayPal or something. Don't bother. Just go see it in person, pay cash, and give it a go. That would be my recommendations. Thoughts on the R50V? So yes, I don't have the camera, and I have had zero interest in Canon for a long time. I had the EOS R way back in the day. I sold my A7 III for it, and it very quickly switched back. Lost a bunch of money in the process. But the R50V looks awesome. I think it looks so cool. If they use that body style and made a higher end version of it, I don't know if they did like an R5V. Obviously R5 doesn't really work because that's like their super high end thing. But the body seems sweet, especially with the way they have like on the, I think it's on like one of the sides, they have like a thread over on the side of the camera, so that if you were going to mount it somewhere, you can not just mount it from the bottom, but you can mount it from the side as well, which for vloggers, which I'm guessing is who it's targeted for, is genius. I think that's really clever. But yeah, I want to know what your guys' thoughts. Does anybody here in chat have an R50V? Because I'd be very tempted to pick one up if there's a lot of interest in it. But again, that requires me getting more lenses, which is not ideal. So there's Sony. Yes, okay, creative. This is what I wanted to talk about. So yes, the Sony ZVE10 Mark II is a mini FX30, same sensor. That's true. And this is, do I just dive into what I was hoping to talk about today? We got 13 or 14 people here. Nice. Let me get through a couple other quick comments here, and then we'll come back because that is exactly what I'm wanting to talk about. Mick says the talking head, the S9 is best for action videos. Use the S9 for action videos. That's interesting. We use it just for social media for our coffee shop right now. But what I want to do, here's my plan for down the line, because I want to use OpenGate so that I can use these talking headshots for shorts as well. What I want to do is replace my A camera, which is the FX30, with a Lumix equivalent, full frame. Probably the S5 2X because you can find those really cheap used. But I want, unless they come up with something else that has XLR inputs more accessible than having to buy that other accessory. So that's nice. Anyway, use like a S5 or an S1 something as my A camera, and then use the S9 as my overhead, because especially for overhead shots, I'd like to be able to, do more of this sort of like top-down unboxing type of experience and talk about these products, because I really like having this top-down shot, except for the fact that every time I bump my table, the whole camera wobbles. I hate that. But maybe Lumix stabilization will deal with that a little bit better. So, and then back to, One Piece, it's not too long. Yeah. It's long. Hey, Niall's here. How's it going, Niall? Niall's a buddy of mine over in Ireland. You need to start a channel as well, or we just need to do some work together, because your stuff's pretty good. Tend to get the R50V for travel. I mean, it does look cool, especially. I mean, you're already in Canon. Do you have the R6, right, or the R6 II? I can't remember. I think you have the R6. The S9 is better than the A7 IV. You're all about the S9 today. You're really pushing it. Everybody should get an S9 apparently. My YouTube recently kind of got a few K subs. Oh, congratulations. And I'm ready to look for a camera versus my Samsung Ultra. What would be the move if I'm around 1500 or save for the FX30? You can get an FX30 used for that much money. I mean, it takes patience. Just like if you look now and you don't see any, that doesn't mean that doesn't exist. It just means that they're gone. So just if you want an FX30, if that's the camera you want, You can find them for $1,500. You just gotta have a bit of patience. A buddy of mine got one on Facebook Marketplace for $1,000. How or why? No idea. But he got an absolute bargain. Just got the newer F700 open box for $100 on eBay. Have you tested it? F700. That's one of their lights, is it? Or is that a monitor? Let me look here. It's a monitor. I haven't used any newer monitors actually. My favorite ones at the moment are the Portkeys ones. I'm a big fan of Portkeys monitors. I haven't tried newer ones. You like it? That's a great price. $100. They're $300 new. That is a great price. Nice. Just get a second S9. I'm pushing hard. Yeah. So that's the thing. My videos typically take a little longer than how long an S9 can usually last before overheating, and I don't want to have to just like, if I'm buying an S9 as an A camera and having to buy like fans or do something with it where like buy dummy batteries and all that kind of stuff, I may as well just get a S5 II or an S5 IIX and then pair it with my S9. And let's mix up S9 talking heads. Sony FX30 is better for sports. Okay, sorry, yes. I was kind of surprised because using an S9 for sports is a very interesting call. The R6, yeah, okay, cool. Supposedly, I don't know if you've heard the rumors, Niall, about the R6 III potentially coming out. I know nothing about it. Again, Canon has never really been my world, but R6 III potentially. I have a problem with buying cameras now, you know that. So I've always been impressed with the fact that you don't just spend and buy more cameras. So maybe your wife is more strict than mine when it comes to buying and spending money. Nikon Z50 Mark II, yes. So there is that. I haven't tried the Z52. I've tried the Z30. A buddy of mine has the Z30. Also, to any of my European friends who hear my accent and hear me saying Z instead of Z, I apologize. I've lived in America for almost 7 years. Words have slipped. Yeah, so the Nikon Z50. So I have a video tomorrow coming out about Nikon because I've got my my ZF here, which I absolutely love the ZF. It's probably my favorite camera to just use. So like, if they came out with a ZF-C Mark II, which had the Z50 Mark II innards in it, I would totally buy it. I think that would be a great deal. I love the vintage style of it. I think it's awesome. Plus being able to put all of my Sony glass on it now, which is what we're talking about tomorrow morning, is pretty awesome. So big fan of that. Patrick, my friend, we don't want so much noise. So yeah, what's this about? Like, I understand. I think Zach Mayfield talked about getting noise with the Z6 III, which I haven't seen his video on the Z6 III, and I haven't actually watched all that much on the Z6 III. I have to say on the ZF though, no problem with noise. I haven't had any problem with noise. Then again, different people have different tolerance levels for noise. So to some people it's like deal breaking if it's got like a tiny bit. Other people it's got loads. You know, kind of depends on what they want. But and then yes, all of those, whatever all those mean. Miggy, Joran, just got it today. What did you get? Oh, the monitor. So you just got the monitor today. Didn't include full size HDMI on both sides. Didn't get. Oh, you didn't get an HDMI cable with full size both sides. Yeah. I hate like those sorts of things you have to purchase are like not fun purchases. Like buying a camera or a lens is fun, or like I love lighting, so buying lighting is fun. Buying HDMI cables, you're like, oh, I don't have to spend $20 on an HDMI cable. I've had my S9 run like an hour and a half. You got your S9 to run an hour and a half? To be fair, I've just never tried it. I haven't pushed it that far. And it got a little hot in Miami. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, sorry, yes. Invicto, you were the one who asked about this earlier. Oh, you need my thoughts on the RP? $400 to $450? Don't know the price conversion exactly. Okay. I use it for photos 85% of the time. So I looked into the RP way back in the day whenever I tried the EOS R. Sorry, is that dollars or where are you at, Invicto? Is that euros? Were you the one that said you were in Europe? I can't remember. I can scroll up. Yeah, okay, you're in Europe. So if it's euros, it's basically 1-to-1 for euros to dollars at the moment. That is a very low price. Does it have any lenses? Would be another question to go with it. I don't know. I mean, the RP, it doesn't shoot in log, which again, if you're doing photos, I guess doesn't matter. The battery life is really low, which might matter too, depending on what you're doing. And it's just older. So I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a very low cost though. I mean, I haven't seen them go for that. I was thinking about trying to pick one up not too long ago, but oh, respect from Switzerland. I haven't been to Switzerland in a long time. Been through the Swiss Alps a couple of times and loved it. Did the Tour de Mont Blanc. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. It's expensive in Switzerland though. That was my main takeaway, especially up in the mountains. Yeah, I know, just it as Nikon joke. Yeah, I've heard it's a joke. I don't know where it came from. I think it was Zach, probably Zach that did that, but probably not using my R6 enough to justify the upgrade. That's fair enough. Also tempted to completely switch. Ooh. What are you switching to, Niall? What are you thinking? What's catching your eye at the moment for the switch? Check out Blackmagic. Yeah, no, I mean, Niall, did I ever have Blackmagic when I was living over in Ireland? I don't think I did. I think I was still in Lexington when we were using Blackmagic. Unless you're wanting their autofocus. They have it now, but it's just not quite there yet. You have a rare good taste, my friend. Your setup shows it. Thank you. I hope that you're talking about like this whole setup. I've put a lot of work into getting this studio looking the way that it is, because that's my favorite thing to do, is like setting up talking headshots and podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. Most of the videography work that I've done whenever I was working full time was for a church. So we were doing talking headshots and like interviews and baptismal videos and testimonies and stories. What was that? What just happened? Why did a big thumbs up show up? I don't know if that happened on your end, but for some reason a big thumbs up showed up on my end. Sorry, I need to fly through these. Hang on. How many people we got here? 17. There's a lot more talking. I'm trying to fly through these, but RP was my first cam. You loved it for photos, but video is a joke. So, well, there you go. There's someone who's actually used it. So it comes with 2 extra batteries. That's always nice. A charger and an insanely low shutter count. That's always a good sign. If you, depending on where you're getting it, if you can like try it first, like, you know, if it's someone local that you can buy it off, give it a go and just make sure that all the buttons work, that the menu's working, the SD card port works, all those kinds of things work as they should before you actually purchase it. If it's online, make sure you can get returns, just in case. That's just always, I mean, that's always good to do with used gear. If filming be away, the Canon RP sensor readout speed isn't great. Fair enough. I actually don't, I mean, that was back in the day that we didn't care about sensor speed. That feels like a relatively recent phenomenon. Okay, sorry, I'm going to try and fly through these. Oh, be aware. Okay. I'm looking to get a Sony ZVE10 with the Sigma. Oh, the Sigma f1.4, or is there something better on the market with a similar or even nicer bokeh? I'm using the Sigmas right now. So this is the Sigma 16 1.4, and this is the Sigma 30 1.4. And it's nice, you know, it gives you a really nice blurry background. It works really well. I think the 30mm 1.4 is the best bang for the buck lens you can possibly get, in my humble opinion. Every camera brand that I'm switching to or testing out, like I'm testing out Fuji at the moment. I'm going to get a Fuji 30 for that. And if I got the R50V, I think they make the 30mm for RF. I'm not 100% sure. Gabe just left Sony. Another one. Where'd you go to? What'd you move to? That's the ultimate question. You left Sony, but where are you going? Would use an RF 24 to 105 f4 to 7.1 just for start, then upgrade later to something better. Yeah. I don't know that lens. Big range, not shallow aperture necessarily, but if that can get you a couple of gigs to make some money, if that's what your plan is, to sort of do it a bit more professionally, just get something cheap to get you started, make some money, and then you can upgrade down the line. It's always a good way to go. Hey Thomas, I currently have an A7 IV and I'm looking to get into a cinema camera. I'm eyeing the new Canon C80, or should I stick with Sony and get an FX3? That's a hard question, isn't it? I think the FX3 is overpriced, very overpriced for what it is. So I would not buy it new, and the used prices are way too high for what you're getting. That being said, if you have lots of Sony glass, it's going to be really expensive to switch. So if you're switching to Canon, let's say you have like 6 lenses, you're going to lose hundreds of dollars on the sales of those lenses, and then you're going to buy other lenses. That's just it's expensive. So most people, there's been a lot of talk about people switching just because the S1 II came out, and Sony's kind of behind a little bit. Everyone's talking about switching, but people don't actually switch very much in my experience. YouTubers will switch, but we get stuff for free. So it's hard. Like, you have to keep that in mind. Like when we say, oh, you should switch to Nikon. Well, I can technically, like, I have a contact at Nikon that if I want some lenses from them, I could ask for them without having to pay that money, which obviously all of you can make your own opinions on how that might look or how that might be. But always keep that in mind when YouTubers are telling you that everybody's switching. It may just be that YouTubers are switching, but that's because it's kind of easier in that world. Anyway, not to say that any of that is bad. I mean, that's why I have 4 different camera brands on the table here. I was talking about, Nigel Bajos was talking about this on his live stream the other day about the stress of having multiple cameras and multiple different systems. And like, I was kind of putting in chat of like, yeah, I got a little bit of a problem here where like, all of these are different like mounts, so it's a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, I mean, if you can get by without switching, and you can financially afford it, I probably wouldn't switch. It depends. It depends on your finances. You love the 6K full frame. How do you find the autofocus on the 6K full frame? What do you think of it? The puppy is good. He is not small anymore. He's getting bigger and bigger. But he is awesome. Niall, I don't think so. I do a lot of run and gun work. Tempted for an FX30. That's what you're looking at right here. Actually, maybe we can. Okay, let me fly through these, and then we'll talk about the FX30 because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with the ZVE10. The thumbnail kind of talked about Sony being behind, and I've talked about how I'm not a huge fan of the ZVE10 Mark II, even though the ZVE10 is my favorite camera. Let me get to that, so I'll fly through these. Which website do you use to stream your lives? I'm using OBS, and I'm using some Chrome extension to be able to pull up these chats. I just followed a YouTube video on it. OBS is easy, so it's nice. And which lens do you prefer to make videos for social media, Zoom or Prime? Prime. I'm always Prime. That's not to say that Primes are better than Zooms. I just like Primes. I've always preferred using Primes. It's K in the same city ad. I could look at it every day. Oh, the Switzerland out of the Alps, is that what you're talking about? I can't remember. Don't go Canon unless your wallet is ready. The lenses are just kind of expensive. If they had third-party lenses, it'd be a lot easier. That's the same with Lumix. So, I know it's a bit off topic, but what are your views of the Lumix S5 2X? If I was to get a Lumix and pay for it with my own money, that's what I'm buying. That's my humble opinion. I'd take it over the S5 II because I love recording to SSDs. That's it. There's another person just got the S5 2X. I think it's a great image. I mean, it's a beautiful image. And if I could stick the XLR mount on top of it, if I could get my hands on that, I totally would replace my FX30 with it. If I could find the right lens. He wants to get one for his camera. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but it's the hard part. I keep falling behind. So I'm really interested in buying it. What are you wanting to buy? The S5 2X. It does look like a great camera. I mean, I think for the money, especially on the used market, I think it's probably one of the best. Again, FX30 and S5 2X are my sort of top of my opinions at the moment. For the money, that is. It's a great hybrid. Came from the FX30 since I missed doing photography. Wish there was more L mount support, but the availability ran. Yeah. So, yes. I love my A6700 for photography, but again, for the money, you may be better off with Lumix. It all depends on your lenses. Autofocus is actually really good, but only for talking head and if it's on a slider. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. I need to rent one and give it a go because I haven't actually tried it yet. What focal length? 35-24 on APS-C. Yeah, it depends what you're doing. As Miggy says. Yeah, leave a list of like what it is that you're wanting to film. I love 35 on anything, 35 and 24. Both of those are like my favorite focal lengths. But it really depends on what you're doing. If you're doing sports, you don't want a 24mm, in my opinion. But if you're doing YouTube, you don't want a 85. It all depends. All right, real quick, let me talk about what I was going to say with the Sony ZV-10 Mark II and the FX30, because ages ago, let me see if I can find this comment, because this is exactly why I was excited about the ZVE10 Mark II. So Creative Vision said this earlier. The ZVE10 Mark II is just a mini FX30. That's why I was so excited about this camera. The problem is the only thing that is the same between this camera and that camera is the image quality, which you might say, well, that's all a camera is needed for. And kind of, I mean, yeah, in a sense you could say that, right? The only thing that matters in a camera is the image quality. But if I'm given the option of this camera and that camera, I'm picking the FX30 every single time. The body just feels better. Battery life feels better for some reason. I don't know if that's just me. For some reason, my battery life experience on the FX30 is just better. The body is the main thing. So all of the buttons, the bells and whistles on the body, and the setup of the body is just so much better on the FX30. We were talking about this on Brandon's live stream earlier on today, that like the FX, like the biggest draw to the FX line of cameras is the body design. It's just a joy to use. It just works well. And with the XLR handle, I've spent a lot of money on nice microphones. Like we got an SM7B here, and just out of frame here, I have a Sennheiser MKH416. It's like $1,000, which is too much money to spend on a microphone, especially for YouTube. But I have it for my previous work. So being able to run all of these microphones straight into my FX30 if I want to is so nice. Currently I'm not. Currently I'm using a mixer. But I love being able to use, especially my Sennheiser MKH416 into the FX30 is really nice. You got the full-size HDMI port. When you're live streaming, if you plug your FX30 directly into the computer, it just works better from my experience than the ZV-10s. What else? There's a couple of other things. Rigging for the FX30 is much better. The ZVE10 is like a little too small. So for V-mount batteries, if you try to mount, here, let me pull this up here. If you try to mount a V-mount battery, if you try to mount a V-mount battery behind here, the monitor ends up sticking out like that, and you need to like offset the battery. I know that seems like a really minor detail. Another couple of things. This isn't centered. That just annoys me. It shouldn't, but it does. So there's that. They were talking about how amazing this microphone is. It's not. Just use an external microphone. And then you've also got one SD card slot instead of two. Okay, I'm ranting. All that to say, the ZVE10 is a great camera, but it was kind of marketed as a mini FX30, and it's just, other than image quality, up to 4K 60, because you can't do 4K 120 on this. Other than image quality, it's hard to feel like it is. And that's probably just a marketing issue. And when I say marketing, I mean, it's probably the YouTubers' fault who were talking about it. And maybe mine as well. And my expectations were wrong. I don't know. For some reason, it just doesn't feel like the same camera. This feels like a mini 6700 to me. This feels much more like a mini Sony a6700. Oh yeah, IBIS. This doesn't have any IBIS. And the kit lens sucks. I'm ranting. I'm so sorry. I'm a Sony guy. Okay, it seems like I hate Sony right now. I love Sony. I've tried almost all the camera brands, and I always end up back at Sony. But this just didn't do it for me. But the FX30 does every single time. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So yes, sorry. I think the ZVE10 is more like a mini A6700 than a mini FX30. And the A6700 is the hybrid version of the FX30. It's just hard to know exactly where the ZVE10 Mark II fits into the workflow. For example, the ZVE10 Mark II is $200 more than the Fujifilm XM5, which has less overheating issues from what I've seen. This does 6K in OpenGate, and you got all your film simulations. It doesn't have IBIS or any of those sort of features either. I'm pretty sure it has a mechanical shutter. Let's find that out. I actually don't know. Does it have a mechanical shutter? It's not even on. I can't take a photo unless I stick a lens on it. So yeah, don't take my word for that. But yeah, for the money, like the reason that the ZVE10 Mark I was so popular was because it was that $600, $700. This is $1,000, which is like right on the line of not really counting as a beginner camera for me. I would still, if I was given $1,000 to spend on a camera and I had to go Sony, I think I would probably try to find 2 used original ZVE10s over that one. And I don't know why. It just doesn't feel worth it for the price for me. Or I'd try to find a used FX30, but I don't think you're going to get that for $1,000 particularly easily, unless you're one heck of a, haggler. So there's that. All right, there's my rant. It's over. I'm starting to get very cautious when people use phrases like "it's a mini ... because that, I don't know. There's a lot more to a camera than just the image quality. There's the ecosystem around it. There's the audio system. There's the what type of outputs does it have? HDMI, SDI, micro HDMI, battery life, USB-C connectivity, power delivery, overheating problems. Like there's a lot more than just the image quality. Or actually, there's far more than just the sensor. Which this is kind of like a main thing that I think people are talking about. We talked about this with the FX2. I don't care if a company use an old sensor. That doesn't bother me at all. Like if a company use a 10-year-old sensor, but it's like an Arri Alexa sensor, and they slap other components in there to complement the sensor, I'll take it. The sensor is just one part of the image. Depending on how they tweak it, the processor that goes along with it, the heat dissipation of it, there's so much more that goes into the camera than just the actual sensor that they use. So, like with the FX2, to me, it doesn't seem like a rehoused A7 IV because it has a different processor. It has the AI focusing chip. It has some of the features of the A1 in there, but it does have the same sensor as the A7 IV. So, I don't know. It's kind of hard to. There's a lot of variables. So that's my take. I just ranted for a long time. Let me read through some of these. I'm so sorry. I use the S5 IIX for all my work, and it's great. 1,000% worth it. Like watching One Piece. I'll give it a go. I'll try it. It's just, the old shows that are like over 1,000 episodes. Trying to get started on something like that is tough. Also, just looking at my screen on OBS, is my audio lagging behind my movement? Or is that just me? I don't know. Thanks, Miggy. I was just weighing my mind. Currently, I have 3 lenses, a 28-70, a 25, and a 50. These have got me through everything, but I might follow the advice and get a used one. Get one used, yeah. It's hard. I mean, switching systems is so expensive. So it really depends on what you want to do, or if you're wanting to upgrade. I can't remember exactly what it is that you were wanting to do, but there is that. What's my favorite side handle? I have the Falcam one, but it's too small. And I found I can remove the quick release adapter and use it on other handles. Let me grab my favorite handle real quick. So this is my favorite handle, but I can't use it with any of my cameras, and I'll show you why. This is by GDU. I mean, look at this. Look at this thing. It's so beautiful. It's so cool. This one is designed for the Red Komodo, and specifically GDU's cage. So, I mean, you almost specifically have to use these 2 mounting points. So a 3/8 and then a 1/4-20. And on the sides of cameras, you don't get that very often on cages. So I was able to mount it on my Z-cams when I had those, but I haven't found another camera that I can mount it on easily. The other problem with this handle is it's like $300. So Like $300 for a handle is totally silly. But look at it, it's based off an old Derringer, which is a type of pistol. It just looks so cool. Anyway, sorry, back to fall cams ones. Fall cam handles are great. I actually just got one in the mail. I like the F22 system. I think the F22, I think is what it's called. My problem is I don't like handles that stick out really far from the side of the camera. So Tilta makes some. I think my favorite affordable handle would be by Tilta. They make a wooden handle with a NATO rail on the side, and it's really close. It sits really close to the camera body. Now that can sometimes impact your HDMI cable, but my Lumix S9 rig video uses that handle. So if you want to know more about that, check that one out. Hey Thomas, we use the ZVE10 Mark I, and it is our video camera for our channel. We like the camera. It's enough for what we do. This year we're going to buy a second ZVE10 Mark II. Yeah, I mean you can. So again, it does produce a good image. And if you're happy with the ZVE10 Mark I, they'll pair well. They're both small. Like if you like that small vlogging style, it'll meet that need. If you're looking for it to be an FX30, it's not that. So just be aware of that. That would be all I'd say. It's all down to what you're expecting to get. And I expected too much, so that's probably my fault more than anything. Funny enough, I got my FX30 for $1,100. $1,100? And you sold it? Dude, I would have bought that off you for $1,350. No, that's a bargain. $1,100 is a really good price for the FX30. Brian's here. What's going on? I mean, you read the title. Yeah, we're talking about budget cameras. We're talking about it because I'm working on a video for the XM5, and I think the XM5 is the new budget king, in my humble opinion. It just does so much for the money that it costs. If you can find one. That's always a challenge with Fujifilm cameras, is being able to find one is a real challenge. So if you can find one, I think it's an absolute bargain for what it offers. So that would be just me. The only thing that I don't know about Fuji is they just don't seem to have that much of an upgrade path. So that would be me. Or if there was some way, I mean, I don't think it'll work obviously, but if you could move up to their medium format cameras and not have to switch your whole lens mount, that would have been ideal, but same lens mount, so what can you do? That's just you. That's just me. That's just who? Someone? Petscom Pinta says, yes, I have lag on audio. Ah. Interesting. Well, it's too late. I don't know how to fix that right now. So you're going to have to deal with it. Sorry, guys. Okay, that makes sense. I guess the ZVE10 just got that FX30 hype way more than it should have. Yeah, look, I mean, I think the original ZVE10 was Sony's best camera that they've ever made for as far as sales and popularity and marketing, right? Because it was really cheap and it got you into the ecosystem, but it wasn't good enough for you to stay with it, right? For a lot of people, it's like, oh, this got you into the system. It was that beginner camera, and you want to upgrade because then 10-bit came in. And everyone's like 10-bit, 10-bit, 10-bit. So you're like, well, you know what? Maybe I do need an FX30, and then it keeps you in the system and you upgrade because you've got some lenses, all that kind of stuff. They did really well with it, the original ZVE10. The ZVE10 Mark II, though, was just not that. I don't think, if you have an original ZVE10, upgrading to the ZVE10 Mark II doesn't quite feel like enough for me, but that's just for me. So everybody's different. It doesn't feel like enough of a jump for me, whereas the FX30 did. But I was also thinking, if I was to start brand new and just get into photography, would I get the ZVE10 Mark II? And then at that point, I'm thinking it's kind of expensive for what it offers compared to the other competition. Like if I don't own any cameras and I'm just getting started and I'm looking under $1,000, I think the Sony ZVE10 Mark II specs and on paper is not enough for $1,000. Again, unlike the XM5 or the Nikon Z50 Mark II, offers a fair bit more. I think that probably the Nikon Z50 Mark II probably offers the most. I think, is it $1,000? I can't remember. Let me check. I don't have it, but I did ask Nikon to try it, and they're talking about it. So, yeah, $900. $900, and it has a viewfinder and a mechanical shutter. You know, the ZVE10 Mark II doesn't have either of those, and it's $100 more. I don't know. It depends. Depends what you need. I just don't think it was a worthy successor to the ZVE10. I think they tried to get, I don't know what I'm talking about, but there we are. I lost like $1,500 checking from Sony. It's hard, but I like, oh, you mean moving from Sony to L mount? Because I can change bodies, brands, and keep all my lenses. I lost like $1,500 checking from Sony. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, switching is really, really expensive. And Sony's expensive. Sony are kind of at a point now where they offer less quality. No, sorry, not quality. They'll offer really high quality. Less specs for more money, but with high quality. I hope that makes sense. That handle's amazing. It's just beautiful. I mean, I could just... You know what's crazy about it? It's not even all that comfortable. You know, like you're holding it and it's really small. Like I don't have big hands, but like my pinky's like hanging off the bottom. There's nothing above it to like, you know, if you got a, sorry, I'm bumping the table. If you got a heavy camera, it doesn't hold very well, but it's so pretty. Look at that thing. I don't know. They do make one with an area rosette on here instead of this now. But again, I'm not going to spend $300 on a handle. I'll check out the Tilta. Yeah, I do. I think they're nice. I think they're about $80. And again, that's still a lot of money for a handle. So it depends. If you don't really use rigs and you're just kind of getting one and you don't really care about rigging, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money on a handle. But if you've already tried the full cam system, those are kind of expensive. But if you're, that's another thing actually. If you're in the full cam ecosystem, it's probably best to stay in it. I know that's not ideal. But you really want to probably make use of that quick release system that they've made. Okay, this doesn't fit on screen. I need to fix that. I've been wanting to get into trying my hand at videography, but I have no idea where to begin with rigging my camera, and anything I've tried handheld is shaky. Should I just invest in a gimbal? Yeah, you could invest in a gimbal. Handheld takes practice. You do get used to it, and it just depends on how you rig your camera. It does take some time. Whenever you're doing handheld, I like to try and have like, I hold the camera underneath and then I use a handle, but then I also like tuck it right up against my chest. I don't do walking shots very much handheld, unless I'm looking for a kind of shaky kind of look. If you're like walking and trying to follow someone, it's always going to be a little shaky handheld. Whereas, yeah, gimbals do a good job. I've got a video coming out in the next week or two about this. This is the RS4 Mini, and it has this little AI chip, the tracking chip. This is a great gimbal. It's my new favorite gimbal. There's a couple of problems I have with it, but nothing that I wouldn't buy it. The thing I would say about gimbals is be prepared not to use it as much as you want. Gimbals are great and they work really well for what you're using them for, but you won't use it all the time. So just be aware of that, because you're going to invest money into it. It's a bit of a faff getting it balanced and all that kind of stuff, and you won't use it as much as you think you will. But again, if you need a gimbal, nothing else is going to work as well as a gimbal. That would be my take. You did come on the XM5. Say something about the XM5. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about the XM5. I have this thing. I have taken 3 photos with it because I have not had any time. But a couple of little things that I've noticed about it. First off, the body design. I really like the way that it looks. Actually really like the black one. It doesn't look as cheap as the silver one does, in my opinion. Downsides. Excuse my grubby paws. Hang on. Let me wipe off the screen here. That was gross. Okay, it's slightly better. I wish there was more here. So I would like, this little joystick thing is fine. The menus are not great. The delete feature is something I'll probably make an entire video about. A couple of things I really like. I like having the film dial because it makes it a bit more intentional. You kind of actually are trying out different things, but I do feel like once you've picked one, you're probably not going to use this again. So I like it, and it's a bit annoying that it takes up all that space. So figuring that out. The only other thing that took me a little while to figure out is dials wise, like changing all of your settings. You've got this wheel, which works really well. I think this one changes your shutter speed, and then you've got one on the front here, which changes your aperture. The thing that I didn't realize for a long time is this also changes your ISO, but you push it in. So it's also a button. So, you know, by default, it changes your aperture of your lens. And then when you press it in, it switches to changing your ISO, and then you can use it to change your ISO, which is, I mean, if you only have two like wheels, that's a kind of very smart way to do it, where you can actually like multi-function one of the wheels. Image quality, it looks really good. I want to reserve more thoughts on it just for an upcoming video. One thing, hate this. This is silly. I wish this was in the middle, because this camera is so small. Like, it's tiny. I don't have big hands. Look at the size of this thing. It's teeny tiny. Like it's the same size as this handle. And I was just saying that this handle's not very big. You know, like it's a small camera. Like the Lumix S9 is a small camera, and it's quite a bit bigger than this. So it is very small. If you've got big hands, then there's that. I've ordered a grip, which thankfully moves this over to the middle. So I'm excited about that. So that's kind of like first impressions of the actual body. Images look really nice, but I need a lot more time with it. I work in a church, and it is the middle of summer camp season, so we got like lots of camps going on at the moment, and it is chaos. So I got today, and tomorrow everything kicks off, and it's going to be chaos for the next month. So I got a few videos lined up and already made that are just going to be posted, but I'm not going to have a whole lot of time, unfortunately. AF performance, so the limited stuff I've done is primarily photo, and it was fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. I didn't have any major problems, but I do need to do more vigorous testing with it. It depends what you're filming. For vlogging style stuff, it worked fine for me. Depends what you're doing, but I'll make a full video of that. So I'll make a note of that, because I know that a lot of people are interested in that. So I'll make sure to have a full section in there about the autofocus performance. Trash, but if you take your time, it's still worth it. I can't remember what you were talking about for that one. Anyway, for the price, super worth it, to be honest. I kind of want one because I want to try Fuji. That was my thing. I've wanted to try Fuji for a while, but I didn't want to spend the money. But that one's so cheap. And again, this channel is all about budget cameras, and I just think that this is going to be the next kind of big thing. And in a sense, part of a YouTube job is to chase some views, and it's a very popular camera, so I'm going to talk about it because that's what the people probably want. Okay, you have a question about I lost it. Where do we go? I have a question about MP batteries adapters to set up the rig. Oh yeah. Small rig for $50 and the Castar for $24. Both have USB-C output. I should check this before buying to avoid damaging the camera. So I have the Castar one and have never faced any problems. But what I would say is if you would rather get a more expensive one to be safe and you're concerned about that, just get the small rig one. If that brings you more comfort and you're more likely to use your camera while you have that, I'd go for the higher end one. That'd just be me. Most of the time when I'm building these rigs, I'm trying to build them as cheaply as possible, which sometimes isn't ideal, but I haven't had a problem. But I also don't want to be the person that says buy that and you weren't convinced and then it does something bad. So anyway, would stop saying that Sony is like Apple. Oh, would saying that Sony is like Apple be inaccurate? I don't know. I feel like Sigma are the ones that are trying to become the new Apple with that BF, like the Sigma BF. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, I guess Apple is known for their ecosystem, and that is Sony's biggest strength, is their ecosystem. It is awesome. Sell that grip. Oh, the $300 handle. They don't sell used for that much. I wish I could sell it for that much money, but someday when I own a red, this will go on it. So this, I'm genuinely holding on to this because I really want a red someday. So I'm gonna keep it. as a reminder that I target to get a good red someday down the line, especially now that they use Nikon lenses. Yeah, I just got a rosette adapter for fall cam. I'm still finding new mounts accessories that they have. Yeah, they make good stuff. I love their f38 system. For everything I use is f38. Both my cameras are mounted using f38 quick releases. I think they're fantastic. If you don't want to rig up your camera, just use wrist weights. That's interesting. I've never even thought of that. Huh. Putting weight on your wrist instead of the camera. Would that work? Does that work? Interesting. That'd be perfect for travel. Looking forward to your video on it. The XM5. It's pretty cool. And unlike Canon, unfortunately, I don't mean to dog on Canon. Unlike Canon, they have lenses for, like, all of the third-party companies make lenses. Viltrox, 7 Artisans, Sirui, Sigma. I think all of them make X-mount lenses. So you can kind of get whatever you want, and they're a lot cheaper. And when you're buying a really cheap camera, you want to get cheap lenses. So, probably. That's just my take. All right. I kind of want it because of the size, but I've also been looking at MF. Is that Micro Four Thirds? Small cameras like the Lumix G850. Yeah. I'm not convinced by Micro Four Thirds. I don't know. I've used a couple of them and they're not terrible. But they're not bad. It was funny, this is a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, I made a video on a post seeing if people could tell the difference between full frame and APS-C. And I shared a picture of the same shot of a product with like a blurry background and said, one of these is full frame, one of them is APS-C, which is which, and did like a poll. 80% of people chose one of them because it had a slightly blurrier background than B. I think they picked A. A had an ever so slightly blurrier background than B, but A was Micro Four Thirds and B was APS-C, which was just being a little devious, you know, just trying to stir the pot a little bit. But I just used different lenses, and I know that's not fair. You're not really supposed to do that, but I kind of wanted to just prove a point that people were like, it's all about the full frame look. You can just tell, and then you ask people, and it turns out to be Micro Four Thirds, which they think is really bad. Also, I can't remember who said this, but there was someone a while ago said something about like people will say APS-C and Micro Four Thirds aren't cinematic, but then those same people will say that iPhone 16s are cinematic. Like, I don't know. To me, it all comes down to your lenses. I found with Micro Four Thirds there wasn't very many lenses that I was happy with, especially trying to get a wider shot, and autofocus just wasn't there for me. So that would be my take on Micro Four Thirds. Anyway, maybe look for an adapter for the grip. So that would be this. The next thing would be to build like a big rig for the cage that would have a cheese plate on the side that I could then, you know, mount this to. Or if Lumix make an FX3 or like a box style camera, I'll buy it. I'll take it. Sean, he's probably not in here. We got like 15 people in here, but do we? I don't even know. 12. If I need to reach out to Sean. If there would be an FX3 competitor with Lumix with built-in XLRs, like if they use mini XLRs, everybody hates mini XLRs. I love mini XLRs, and I could run XLR mics straight into the camera without having to use a top handle or anything. I think I'd buy it. It'll work, but you're just making jokes. Yeah. Micro Four Thirds is great, to be honest, if you really want a small camera and cheap lens. Yeah, they are small. So some of them. Now the GH5 and through 7 they're pretty big cameras, but they do cram a lot of tech in there. So you know, they're pretty good. I just find they're a little expensive. So for me, I'm really loving these little ones. That's what I love about the Lumix S9. It is such a small little camera that it is pretty good for travel. Let me grab my lens for it real quick. most of the time when I take the Lumix S9 for traveling, I do stick this little thing on here, because I think this just looks so cool. Look at that. I think I have a full video on this lens by Bright & Star, but it's just so beautiful. And the only problem is it is M mount, so you have to adapt it, and then the minimum focus isn't very good. But it is an f2.8, so it's a 28mm f2.8, and it's so small. Like, this will literally fit in your pocket. Look at that. Look at the size of that. So there's another little thing. Back to switching camera brands. The thing that I'm hoping to get into is M mount. M mount you can put on everything. I could put M mount on Fuji, on Sony, on Nikon, and on Lumix. So as somebody with multiple systems, M mount seems to make sense. So Typoc, I've been talking with Typoc, trying to get my hands on the Samaras because they just look so cool. But again, manual focus. So there's that. Lumix has a box. Is this the BH1 something or other? Yeah, I've never seen it. Oh, there you go. You have. Yeah, Lumix made the BS1H, which had the same sensor as the Lumix S1H. It was a box style cinema camera. Yeah. Yeah. How much do they cost used? That's a real question. Because I don't know. I used to not be obsessed with autofocus. I used to be like, you don't need autofocus. It's fine. And now I film myself, so I need autofocus. It is just better. When you film yourself, it just makes everything so much better, for sure. You're watching the live stream while you pack for a night bike shoot. Ooh. So Niall will know about this, but my hope is next time I come over to Ireland, we got a buddy who does a lot of mountain biking, and I would love to do some like fast-paced mountain biking over in Ireland. We got some really cool trails. So Niall, next time I come over, remind me of that and talk with Matthew, see if we could do some really sick biking things. I don't even know if you're still here, but if you are, we should do it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that one looks great, and about 1,500 uses, right? 1,500 uses? What are we talking about? I can't remember. This is the really hard part about streaming. Like, because of the time delay, and because I'm talking about 15 topics at once, because I'm so scatterbrained, someone will say something and then I'll talk about it and then we come back to it and I can't remember what it was. That lens, I think you're talking about the Bright & Star. It's really cool. It's not the best lens in the world, and it's kind of expensive for what it is, but it's pretty cool. 75X, I have a question. I need to figure out why these don't fit on the screen. OBS is failing me. Okay, I have a question. I've been thinking about switching from Sony a7 III to Fujifilm X-E4 for its size. I focus on photography mainly. Reason why is people kept staring at my Sony. What do you think? Yeah, if you're doing like public photography and you want something like a little street photography, I know nothing about the X-E4. Let me look up the X-E4. Oh, that's pretty. That's a cool camera. Does it have a viewfinder? It does have a so it's an XM5 with a viewfinder. This is really cool. Why didn't I know about this one? Why did I buy the other? Anyway. Okay, $900. Yeah, if APS-C isn't a bother to you, it's not to me. I'm good with APS-C. I think APS-C is just fine. The majority of the best videos I think I've ever made are on APS-C, and I've always been happy with the image. That's a really cool looking camera, especially with the little viewfinder. How old is it? It looks, is it old? X-E4 release date 2021. Okay, is there an X-E5? Oh, Fuji are expected to release an X-E5 next week. You may want to wait till then, because it would not be pleasant to buy an X-E4 and then X-E5 comes out next week. So supposedly there's supposed to be an X-E5 on the 12th of July. So maybe I would give it maybe just a little bit of time. A7 III is still a great camera. So, you know, keep using it. It depends also what you're using it for. The BS1H is more like the FX9. That's quite a competitor for $2,600. I need to look into that. I know nothing about the S1H. That was kind of like the Lumix world before I was sort of aware of it. Well, they're full frame because I'd used the GH5 quite a lot. But yeah. How much was it new? Are you talking about the BS1H? Not sure. The Lumix is cute. It is. The little S9. It's a great little camera. It's cool. Wow, it looks really green with this color grade on here. But yeah, I like it. I don't use it as much as I should. But that is because I do prefer my Nikon over the Lumix. It is more expensive. It's a bigger, more expensive camera with a lot more features, so I should prefer it. I just have camera anxiety where I have too many options. And half the time I don't have anything to shoot because this isn't really my main job. So manual focus is fun on a DSLR but awful on mirrorless. Interesting. I haven't shot on a DSLR since, I don't know, 2017, 2016. So $3,500 new for the, okay. So $2,600 used for a $3,500 new camera. That's not too bad. Again, talking about the FX3 again, you know, it's just holding its value too much. I don't know why. People keep buying it. Sony's not going to release an FX3 Mark II until people stop buying it. So don't buy one. Just wait. With the addition of the FX2, do you think it enhances or lessens the value of the FX30? Different cameras, I think. I think people who are wanting to upgrade from like a original ZVE10 to an FX30 are not going to look at an FX2. But I think people with an FX30 who are thinking of upgrading to an FX3 will look at the FX2. I hope that makes sense. The FX30 is that really nice high-end budget camera, whereas the FX2 is a low-end expensive camera. I don't know if that makes sense. Would you stream without delay next time? Yeah, I'll give it a go. I don't know why it's doing it. I'm new to this, so I'm using a switcher with multiple cameras into it this time. So last time I didn't use multiple cameras and it didn't have any delay. So this time it's doing something. So I do apologize. You have to consider I'm talking with other charters too. Yeah, that's true. You're talking with other people in here. That's fair enough. That's why I'm getting confused. There you go. You're using the at. Gabe, oh, it's not too bad. Crazy. Yeah. Price. True. T Angel is screaming at me in the chat here with all caps. I bought the GH7, or I bought the G7. I liked the size factor, but I haven't bought any lens, so I haven't had the chance to really enjoy. Watching from Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica. Looks cool that we got people from our church here that have been over there quite a lot, and they seem to love it. And again, yeah, G7, like most of the newer, it's funny, the newer side of Lumix's Micro Four Thirds cameras, I know nothing about. And the old full frame cameras, I know nothing about. So I know about their older, like GH4, GH5 era. And I know about the S5 II and S1 II era. That's all I know. There's too many cameras. It's really hard to like know everything about all the cameras. That's one of the hard things about YouTube is people just kind of assume that you know everything about every camera. And it's like, I can't. I don't even own I don't own a tenth of all the cameras out there. I've got a lot of cameras, but it's a lot. Currently using the ZV10 Mark II, or using the ZV10, wish it had 4K 60 though. Yeah, so yeah, the old ZV10 is definitely old and it's lacking in some features. But that's the good thing. See, that's where you want to be. Also, Brian, how's it going? It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. You haven't posted in a while. That's where you kind of want to be with the camera. Once your camera is struggling to do what you need it to do, then it's time to upgrade. If you have a camera and it does what you need, but you just want a new camera, you don't need to upgrade. You can if you can financially afford to, but You don't need to. Once you kind of get to a point where you need it, then it's a good time to upgrade if you can do it. Yeah, Meg says the same thing. You'll use 4K 60 like 5% of the camera's life unless you're doing weddings. Yeah, that is true. Also, one thing that's underrated is 4K 30. Hold on a second, because everybody dogs on 30p. I love 4K 30 slowed down to 4K 24. So when I'm filming weddings, I don't actually do 4K 60 a lot of the time. I'll do 4K 30 and slow it down just to 80%, and it gives it this feeling where it's like slow motion, but it's not, because it's so close to the real time, but you still get that slight slow motion feeling. And it's a little bit different. Like the 60 and especially 120 frames for weddings, I'm getting a bit tired of it. It feels like it got a little bit overused. Same with like all the speed ramps and the glitch transitions and all those kinds of things. I think that's kind of on its way out. But yeah, Brian, if you're needing a little bit of slow-mo for something more artistic, I'd give 4K 30 a go and just slow it down to 80%, which brings you back down to 24p. I do street photography most of the time, sometimes protest photography. Every time when I'm out shooting, people would just look at me from like 15 feet away instantly, and I don't want people to look. Yeah, that's fair. Street photography is one of those ones where, if you wanted to be discreet, that's where the smaller little travel cameras come in pretty well. You could also, if you're in this, you said you were in Sony, so the A7 III, you could also look at the A7C line, because that's kind of their approach. And again, if you have lots of Sony lenses, it's expensive to switch. So if you don't have many lenses, then go ahead and switch. But yeah. Miggy says to 75, if you're doing that, you want something with reach and discrete. That's also a challenge, because super zoomed in lenses are big. But then if you use APS-C or Micro Four Thirds, you get that extra reach, I guess. So you wouldn't need to worry about it. Miggy says to Gabe, we were talking about the BS1H. Yeah, okay, that's what you're talking about, the price. Cool. I usually go with 24mm focal length for street photography. Yeah, I love 24. 24 and 35 are my favorites. T Angel says Jamaica's awesome. You need to come for a visit. Yeah, I don't even know how to get there. I mean, on a plane, but I know so little about there. It does sound cool though. Gabe says, yes, you and me are really carrying the chat. Everyone else has been pretty quiet. We've had like, how many people have we had in here altogether? We've had 175 different people, and like 4 of you are chatting. But yeah, that's kind of funny. Bro, you're right. That's so true. Yeah, if you're shooting protests with a 24mm, yeah, you're right. You're right in there. I'm from Northern Ireland, so we're not. We've had plenty of protests in our time. If you know anything about Northern Ireland, we used to protest every other weekend. I say we. I never did. I wasn't involved, but me and my friends used to go up to Belfast and take selfies with the protesters, because we just thought it was so ridiculous. They would just protest over anything. Anyway, before I offend somebody accidentally. Me, why not? It's better to get closer and getting into the moment. Yeah. You go for it. Go for it. I'm not trying to get my camera broken. I don't have good insurance. Dude, that's something I've never looked into, is camera insurance. I really need to do that, because I got a lot of gear that I need to have covered. But yeah. So yeah. When it comes to budget cameras, so the kind of topic of today that I don't even know if I covered. Live streams never seem to cover the topic that they're supposed to cover. But anyway, when it comes to, I thought it'd be interesting to just talk for a minute and see what your guys' thoughts are about Sony's APS-C at the moment. Like, I've been thinking about doing a video about, sort of titled, "Is Sony APS-C dead?" Because I don't think APS-C is dead. Again, you got like the XM5 and stuff. But for the same price as Sony's cheapest camera that they make, you can get a Lumix S9, which is a full frame 6K open gate beast. That makes it hard to justify this, in my opinion, unless you have loads of lenses already. So the thing that Sony, this has just been really interesting to sort of watch and observe happening, because Sony used to be the pioneer of like new tech. They would be pushing new tech into their cameras and throwing it at consumers, even if it wasn't ready. Like it would just be out there, and they would just hope for the best. Things were overheating and everyone was complaining, but they were like, yeah, but the specs and the image is awesome. And Canon was like way behind. They were like still in 1080p and not doing anything mirrorless. And, you know, they were just kind of falling behind in that sense. And now it feels the other way around, right? Sony just feels like they're giving us low-end specs and they're playing it safe. So they're giving us really nice image quality, which is good. We all want that. Really nice image quality, but with really low specs, and they're just playing it safe. Whereas other companies are like pushing out, again, not to bring it back to the XM5, but this is an $700 camera, $800 camera with 6K open gate, all of the bells and whistles for less money. Like, Sony will need to do something to drop their prices, in my opinion. They got to do something. If they don't drop their prices, or innovate, they're going to have a hard time over the next 5 years. Like, I'm really worried about the A7 V. Like, I think the A7 V could be an amazing camera, but if it comes out at $3,000 when the S1 2E is $25, I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, I'm probably going to call it here in about 10 minutes. We'll have been on here for about an hour and a half, which I think is fine. But yes. Sorry. 75 says, my only worry is switching from Sony to Fuji. I'm not sure if I'll get used to it, but most people I know use Fuji. If a lot of people that you know use Fuji, I would ask to just borrow a camera and test it for a day. And if you like it, get one. If you don't like it, then you know. Insurance is 10,000% worth it. Like watching One Piece. Dude, all of the kids in my youth group are obsessed with One Piece, and anytime the words One Piece show up, of like, do you want some pizza? Yeah, I'll have One Piece. And then they're like, oh, he said the thing. They go crazy for it. So maybe I'll need to watch it just so that I know exactly what they're talking about. But there's so many other animes I'm trying to watch through. So I just don't have the time. Alrighty. Well, any last little questions or thoughts from people in here of things going on that you'd like to ask about or talk about? Again, tomorrow I have a video coming out about this little thingamajig. This is an adapter for Sony lenses onto Nikon cameras. So again, if you got a bunch of Sony lenses and you're wanting to switch to Nikon, you can do it without having to sell any lenses now. You just got to get an adapter. So we're going to talk about that a lot tomorrow. And yeah, I'm trying to think of what else is happening. I've got lots of summer camps coming up, so I am flat out for the next month. I'm going to try and keep getting videos out there. But I don't know. Also, one other thing. The video that I came out with on the 1st was cool camera gear under $50. It's basically random Frank P's cool tech stuff, but just for camera gear. And it is doing very well. People seem to really like that. So what I'm thinking of doing is, what I would love to do is do live streams every week. And I think next month we're going to try doing a giveaway from the next episode of cool camera gear under $50. And I think we'll always do the giveaways within the live streams. So the plan would be to do a live stream every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. That is the plan. So if you want to be in on those giveaways, we'll try and figure out a way where we'll give them away through the live stream and do something like that. So I'm excited about it. I really enjoy those, like doing little tech things, because it's kind of nice where they're popular, so that helps the channel, but also they're cheap for me to do, because I only have to spend, ironically, I have to only spend about $250 a month, which is quite a lot of money to just make videos, or one video a month. But then giving away that gear instead of just returning it or something like other people tend to do helps you guys out. And also talking about cheaper gear is much more pleasant, because I know there's some really expensive gear out there, and we can kind of all get overwhelmed. Not to say it's bad gear, it's good gear. Like, if I had Leica money, I'd be talking about Leicas, but I don't have Leica money, so I'll talk about the cheap stuff. All right, sorry, let me go through these last few questions then that you guys have thrown in. Gabe says, cheers mate, fun chatting from Atlanta. I'm going to be in Atlanta in November. I've never been, so I'm excited to go. Recently upgraded from the Nikon D3200. That is an old camera. That's what I like to see. I like to see when people are like, hey, it works, I'm just going to keep using it. I like that. That's really cool. So you switch to ZVE10 because I really like my Sony phone and want to support them. Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard anybody put those together like that, but that sounds cool. I appreciate that. Sam O'Hara, how's it going? Just curious, are you strictly Thomas or do you go by Tom too? It depends. So it depends who you are and where you know me from. So if you met me in Ireland as a kid, you'll know me as Thomas. If you met me in Ireland in uni, in college, as we'd say here in America, then you'll know me as Tom. And then I moved to America, and if you met me in America when I lived in Lexington, you call me Tom. And if you met me where I live now, you call me Thomas. So I kind of figure out where I met you based off of what you call me. So I'm good with either. My wife just says no Tommy, just Thomas or Tom. I think I prefer Tom. I'm leaning more towards Tom, which is kind of newer for me, but whatever works. 75 says to Nicholas, Sony ZV10 is amazing. What lens did you get? What did you get? Fun little camera. All of the videos that I did on YouTube talking about the ZVE10 and trying to get cinematic videos and shots out of that using like some really nice cinema lenses and stuff on the ZVE10. That was some of the most fun videos that I've done. Big fan. If you think your videos might be too much work, just hit the live. That's really true. It is easy. You just find a topic and you're struggling to figure out how to talk about it. What I want to do is actually use the lives as a way to write my lessons. Sorry, I've got Youth Minister brain on. Use my live streams to write my videos, because then I can kind of gauge, like, from you guys what it is you're interested in. You know, because I've got a bunch of ideas for videos that I just know aren't going to do well. And then I've got other videos that I was like, and I know they'll do well, but are they actually going to serve the community at all? Probably not. So finding that balance and then chatting with you guys about it is fun. So Nicholas says, oh, you got the 18-50 and a Viltrox pancake. Ooh. Everybody talks about that Sigma 18-50. Everybody. And I don't have it. I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I need to get it and give it a go. Maggie says 5:30 so I can get home. Maybe I'll just do 6. I'll have an early dinner with the wife. Then do 6 o'clock. That's not super late for Europeans. Probably is. But I'm in America now. We're not supposed to care about Europeans in America. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not going to. I'm sorry. Never mind. Gabe says, hey, I'll definitely be back. Do come join us. I'm glad you've been here. How cool. Hope you enjoy your time in the city. Beware of the traffic. Yeah, dude, I got to take 2 busloads of teenagers to Atlanta. So that's going to be fun. So we'll see how that goes. I know you're about to end the session, but which Viltrox pancakes? Yeah, I actually want to know that as well. Who was it said about the Viltrox pancake? I don't know much about Viltrox pancakes. Yes. Niall, you'd love to hear the thoughts on the V1. What's the V1? The ZV1? Oh, the ZV1? I don't know what you mean. Sorry. Which V1? Ray back again. And Mighty Mickey is here yet again. Yeah. So I don't talk about that. Is it getting late? No. I'm yet to live somewhere that I would happily say is the best country in the world. But hey, there's good places about everywhere. Mic gain and levels need some boosting. Okay, that's good to know. On my levels, it seems fine, and I've got it cranked kind of as high as I can get it. But I'll maybe try and crank it a little higher. Somebody said that last week, but I actually had it even louder last week. And I mean, it's almost touching the red in OBS. So I don't know if maybe OBS is just a little quiet, because, oh, I don't know. I mean, it's just pretty low. Oh, the Canon V1, is that the little point and shoot? Let me look it up here. Canon V1. Yeah, okay, a little point and shoot. Yeah. I've never used a point and shoot and been like, this is the one. Not for $1,000. I'd say, I mean, I feel that way about every camera company. I find, because the whole thing about cameras that I think is beneficial for most people, and this channel is kind of focused towards, like, not necessarily professional photographers, but people who are trying to learn the craft. And for a lot of people, they like to upgrade. You know, they like to level up their systems. And with point and shoots, you can't really level it up without just selling the whole thing and then moving on to the next thing. Let me see. Hang on. I might be able to just boost my... Sorry, I'm thinking about audio levels now. How's that? Is that any better? Okay. See, it says I'm peaking. I don't want to peak. No, that looks bad. Okay. If I'm peaking, let me know. Where was I? Point and shoots. I always find it hard to justify point and shoots. Yeah, because I think it's valuable to be able to invest in lenses that you're going to take with you to multiple cameras. Like to be able to see, I've had some people on the channel who have gone from like a Sony ZVE10 and then have worked really hard on their craft and are now using the FX30 and they're filming some really cool stuff. Like I love seeing that happen. And it's hard to do that with point and shoots, but that's just me. Viltrox 28mm f4.5. Oh, they emailed me about that. I never picked it up actually. 4.5. Yeah, I mean, if pancake is what you want, you're gonna obviously have to sacrifice on the aperture unless you go manual focus. But I do love 28mm. 28mm is really nice focal length. Okay, yeah, the V1 is the power shot. Cool. Point and shoot, but similar specs to the R. Oh, okay, I didn't realize it shoots in log and it's similar to the R50V. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have other gear that you like and you just want a little fun thing and it's not about trying to grow your ecosystem or anything like that, then that works great. Case says live stream audio is always tricky. You'll get every option on the audio. Yeah, I need to just like bump it up in OBS, or maybe just don't use OBS. I maybe just need to use something else. But I don't want to have to pay for something, so that's just me. Fair enough. I do agree. Thanks for the great stream, Niall. It's good to hear from you. We need to like hop on a call or something and chat. I don't know when I'm next going to be home. I'm working on like citizenship and stuff over here, so I'm in a weird limbo of green cards, so I probably shouldn't leave the country for the rest of the year, but we'll see. I'm here perfectly legally. I am allowed to be here, just to clarify. It's just complicated. Trevor says, I have the D5300. Is it good for videos? That was my very first camera, and I never used it for video. I don't know. It would be a tough one. It's old. I don't know how the autofocus is, and I think it's 1080p only. So, but again, the best camera is the one that you have. Give it a go for video. You may find that your phone works better, and that's fine. Just use whatever you got and whatever works best. Alrighty, it is 7 o'clock. Yeah, so I think maybe next week we'll try 6. We'll do like 6 till 7 or 6 till 8. And do this, but I am hungry, so I'm gonna go eat some dinner and hang out. I got some other work to do, but yeah, got a video coming out tomorrow about mounting Sony glass on Nikons, so you can see how well that works. And again, if you're interested in receiving the giveaways, we'll do that on live streams at the start of each month, or at the end of each month. The last live stream of the month we'll do. Our giveaways. Not this month, but we'll do it next month. So, and hopefully next time I'll have better audio and my video will be in sync with my audio. So we'll figure it out. All right. I appreciate all of you. I just realized that's been sitting up there for forever. Good luck with immigration stuff. I appreciate that. Just, you know, here doing what I can, trying to pay my taxes, just trying to be a good citizen, and yeah. So hopefully by the end of the year I'll have my 3rd passport. I want to get one of those little secret drawers with like a Nerf gun in there, and then I can be like Jason Bourne. Anyway, hope you guys have a good night. It's good to chat to you, and I'll hopefully see you all again next week on next Friday's live stream. And I will be dead because I'll be just done with week of camp, but I'm going to do it anyway, and video coming out tomorrow. So I appreciate all of you for being here. Hope you have a great day. See you later.